Welcome to our webcast today. We're here to discuss the evolution of operational resilience and its strategic value beyond mere compliance. Over time, operational resilience has shifted from being just a compliance exercise to becoming a strategic imperative that touches every part of an organization. In this session, we'll explore how resilience enables agility, drives innovation, and enhances stakeholder trust. You'll see how connecting the dots between continuity, third-party relationships, and operational risk management can unlock long-term value, especially through digital transformation. Whether you're just beginning your resilience journey or are well on your way, this webinar will provide practical insights, examples, and strategies to help you move past simply checking the box for compliance. We're delighted you could join us for this discussion on how leading organizations transform operational resilience into a competitive advantage that extends far beyond regulatory requirements. We'll start by defining operational resilience as a strategic capability that goes beyond compliance. Next, we'll differentiate between reactive, compliance-based approaches and proactive, value-driven resilience models. We'll also discuss how to align resilience initiatives with executive priorities and broader business objectives. Furthermore, we'll explore integrating continuity, risk, and third-party data into a connected, insights-driven strategy. Lastly, we'll outline practical steps to build, scale, and communicate an effective resilience program. I'd like to introduce Rod Andes, the founder, CTO, and Chief Resilience Officer with Cybentage.
Hello, it's nice to meet you all. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. Today, our purpose is to discuss the evolution of operational resilience and its strategic value beyond compliance. Many professionals in this industry are still grappling with legacy continuity thinking. How to get organizations, whether regulated or not, to align resilience objectives with the true benefits of operational resilience. My goal is to help you unlock the unique strategic value resilience can bring to your organization. Let's start by considering how the market currently talks about resilience. This remains a rapidly evolving concept. We see regulations, multi-jurisdictional, in fact, such as DORA in the EU, which also has implications for the US, the OSCE in Canada, APRA, and MAS in Singapore and Australia. As you know, we operate in a global economy. So many of us rely on each other across borders. From the BCI to DRI, Gartner, Forrester, and other thought leaders, there is a wide array of perspectives on resilience. What's clear is that, though common themes exist, there is no single, unified message. If I had to distill a few essential points for you as we proceed through this presentation, I would emphasize adaptability and flexibility. Our goal should be recovery, continuity, and delivering aligned strategic value. Resilience must be directly connected to an organization's objectives, protecting your brand, securing your enterprise, and responding with agility. Think about the breadth of disruptions we now face. It's no longer a question of if, but when. All of us are on the front lines every day. This is a strategy designed to realize benefits for your organization and to educate your leadership on what is required to move forward. Today, we'll discuss integration and how to orient these opportunities across your business. The bottom line is this: resilience empowers you to make the right decisions, with the right context to safeguard your business. Whether regulated or not, this is a universal theme, one that resonates in every organization and every professional conversation, whether you're a disaster recovery practitioner, a business continuity expert, or a chief risk or resilience officer. We are witnessing the convergence of risk and resilience, and it's becoming top of mind for everyone, regardless of regulatory requirements. Across geographies, organizations, and company sizes, the challenges we encounter are remarkably similar. When disruption strikes, executives often lack the right data and context to make swift decisions. Questions arise. What locations, employees, vendors, or services might be affected by a hurricane or another event? Do we have enough information to quickly assess and respond to ransomware? I regularly observe a lack of alignment between cyber resilience efforts and traditional continuity planning. So, let's consider how we can optimize these various departments. I hesitate to call them silos because many of you are actively working together towards these outcomes. But the challenge remains, making a compelling business case to executives and helping them appreciate the value that resilience brings. In practice, most organizations struggle to answer the critical questions I've raised. they struggle to achieve the desired outcomes. The key is to think about how to protect or at least better insulate our organizations. With that, I'd like to introduce our first poll. Which of the following best represents your organization's current understanding of operational resilience? Consider these options. Primarily an IT function focused on managing downtime, responding to crises as they arise, a truly integrated strategy involving people, processes, and technology. Or perhaps it's not a priority at all. Maybe no one is even discussing it yet. Let's move forward. What does operational resilience really mean? I find this question crucial. Over my 3 decades in the field, I've spent significant time with thought leaders, founders who saw, with remarkable foresight, the gaps between business continuity and IT disaster recovery, and the risks these gaps pose to organizations. They lived through 9/11, responded to cyber crises, and were already witnessing market vulnerabilities. So, when I talk about operational resilience, it encompasses enterprise resilience, strategic ecosystems, sometimes called holistic resilience. What are these, really? They all represent business transformation efforts and digital transformation strategies. This is much more than simply maintaining legacy resilience silos. It's about understanding and appreciating what is truly important to your business as a whole. Operational resilience is the ability to prepare for, adapt to, withstand, and rapidly recover from disruption. This encompasses everything, from weather incidents and cyber attacks to changes in the market or geopolitical situations. In my view, this goes far beyond IT recovery. It's about keeping your entire business running in the face of a wide range of disruptions. We're all acutely aware that disruptive events have surged in both frequency and impact in recent years. Cyber incidents like CrowdStrike, natural catastrophes such as those in Western North Carolina and the LA fires, and increasing geopolitical risks from Europe and Asia have all compounded our challenges. Operational resilience is not just a buzzword. Executive interest in resilience has soared. The term appears in earnings calls more than twice as often as it did 5 years ago. In short, resilience has become mission critical. Whether or not your teams are involved in these conversations, your boards and executive suites are. Ensuring that the right people participate in these discussions is part of why I am so passionate about sharing this topic with you today. The ultimate goal is to help your organization withstand shocks and continue delivering on your customer promise. To define resilience beyond the confines of regulatory language, resilience is the ability to confidently navigate disruption by making informed decisions and executing with speed and precision. It means being ready for both anticipated and unexpected disruptions by transforming accurate, connected data into coordinated action. Let's talk about how we got here and how we're moving forward. Resilience, conceptually, has been developing for a long time, even if we haven't realized it. At the top of the screen, you'll see the regulatory evolution, starting with Basel II in 1999. At the bottom, you'll see what's happening in the market. This timeline highlights the journey of operational resilience, evolving from a concept rooted in business continuity to a robust, regulated discipline worldwide. But just because your organization isn't regulated doesn't mean you can't learn from the lessons regulators are trying to share, or adopt those best practices. Looking at the bottom half of the timeline, and I'm dating myself here, events like the Exxon Valdez spill, Hurricane Andrew, the dot-com bubble, and 9/11 have all affected every industry. Regulated organizations simply have to align. There's business value in taking those best practices and applying them to your industry. Every regulation here was reactionary, evolving in response to everything we've discussed, up to the 2008 housing crisis, the Black Swan events of 2020, and various cyber and ransomware incidents. This keeps us, and all of you, on your toes. There's a clear trend. Resilience has moved from best practice to must practice, supported by standards and laws worldwide. Whether we're talking about ISO standards, the NIST framework, FFIEC, or DORA, there's a holistic intent common across regulators and markets. Consider this. The SEC is now allowing 23-hour trading, 5 days a week. To participate, organizations must demonstrate robust risk and resilience practices. This illustrates what's happening in the market. I'd like to ask a poll question. Which regulatory or external factors have posed the biggest challenge for your organization? Step back and consider not just your silo or continuity practitioner lens, but your organization as a whole. Is it cybersecurity threats, supply chain disruptions, regulatory changes like DORA or GDPR or duplicative efforts? Or perhaps these factors haven't affected you, or you simply haven't encountered these conversations yet. Let's discuss the impacts of these disruptions. If you were to make a business case to your executives, what does resilience really mean? This is an opportunity to educate you holistically on industry trends. I want to emphasize why I, and the market, firmly believe that investing in resilience is worth every penny by examining the impacts of major disruptions. First, direct cost. Studies show that for most large enterprises, an hour of critical system downtime can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Lost online transactions, halted production lines. The likelihood of facing such an event is almost certain. One report found that 96% of organizations experience at least one significant outage during recent multi-year periods. This is not a hypothetical risk, it's universal. Beyond the immediate financial impact, consider the operational chaos, reputational fallout, and sheer inability to respond to customers. Customers may not remember years of good service, but they will remember the one day their service was unavailable. Real-world examples abound. A massive airline IT failure led to thousands of canceled flights and not only lost ticket revenue, but restitution payouts, public anger, and PR challenges. A data breach in an airline resulted in a $200 million fine, damaging brand credibility and data protection. These examples echo across industries. A disrupted bank may lose customers to competitors, and manufacturers unable to deliver may see buyers switch to alternate suppliers. Conceptually, the chart breaks down these impacts, direct versus indirect losses. Importantly, building resilience almost always costs far less than experiencing a major disruption. In this sense, resilience is an investment in avoiding losses, preserving your reputation, and fulfilling customer promises. Consider additional examples. Stock trading platforms going down. Banks face regulatory fines and lose client confidence, and manufacturers who halt production may trigger contract penalties and supply chain ripples. Applied Materials lost $250 million due to a cybersecurity attack at just one supplier. So this isn't only about your organization, but also those you depend on, third and even nth parties. In healthcare, system downtime at a hospital can literally risk lives, in addition to incurring compliance fines. Imagine a generator failure's impact on a hospital's reputation and patient safety. So what do we do with this? I firmly believe resilience is a strategic business enabler. There are opportunities to be agile during a crisis, which translates into market advantages. Generally, resilient organizations are predictive. They get ahead of challenges, maintain service uptime, integrity, and customer confidence. When resilience is proactively integrated, organizations can react faster and capitalize on opportunities that competitors cannot. The takeaway? Operational resilience pays off far beyond avoiding fines or downtime. It can propel your business forward. Research by the World Economic Forum shows that organizations embedding resilience in their strategy gain competitive advantages. Think about it. A company that remains operational or even adapts during disruption wins customer trust and is first to capitalize on shifting conditions. We've seen this across industries. During major cloud service outages, companies that had invested in redundancy and predictive resilience stayed online, gaining sales while competitors went dark. In banking, strong resilience practices help organizations avoid outages that anger customers and regulators, preserving their reputation and client base. The bottom line is that resilience builds stakeholder confidence. Boards, shareholders, and customers all want to know they can count on you. Investors see a well-managed, agile enterprise. It transforms risk management from a defensive cost center into an offensive strategy for value creation. Even if your departments aren't profit centers, you can move from being a cost center to a value center. Your data is an asset. Your ability to map the jigsaw puzzle of your organization contributes directly to its resilience and its ability to capitalize on opportunities when they arise. But what is the challenge? How do we help leadership understand the value of becoming resilient? Quoting BCG Henderson, "As a crisis fades from memory, leaders tend to neglect the importance of building resilience." Critically, however, the value of resilient transformation remains, regardless of timing. There's growing momentum around resilience in boardrooms and public interest. Google Trends shows rising search volume, especially during major disruptions. BCG research demonstrates that resilient companies deliver more value, recover faster, and outperform their peers by multiple percentage points over the long term. That's why so many companies are rethinking their approach to resilience, not just to protect, but to outperform when opportunities arise. If the demand and value are clear, how is the market defining resilience today? What does this maturity model look like? Most organizations are still largely reactive. There's a significant digital transition underway, but more importantly, business transformation needs agreement and executive buy-in to drive it. We all understand that. So the best I can do in sharing this with you is show what large organizations already on this journey are doing. This graphic illustrates the difference between operating with and without integrated technology. The days of relying solely on Word, Excel, SharePoint, or disparate systems are over. Technology is now critical. I assert that integrated technology is truly necessary. Even if we simply consider where your organization stands and what that means for your risk exposure, understanding your position is a vital first step. The key takeaway here is that resilience cannot be treated as a compliance exercise. If we focus only on checking boxes, we've missed the mark, the intentionality of the organization, the purpose behind regulatory requirements, and most importantly, the opportunity resilience offers as a strategic value enabler for your business. The spirit of these regulations is to elevate our thinking and accountability as organizations and practitioners. We need to demonstrate that we can be resilient, that we test to fail, and that we do so because it benefits our organizations. This effort highlights gaps and allows us to prioritize resources to address those gaps before they threaten business continuity. Ultimately, it benefits our industries, our clients, and the customers who depend on us. To compare reactive and proactive approaches, moving toward predictive models, here are two main points to share with your leadership. Reactive firms experience longer downtimes, greater impact and cost per incident, and unpleasant surprises from untested scenarios. Proactive, predictive firms recover faster, face fewer surprises, and identify gaps through regular testing. Disruptions become opportunities for learning and competitive advantage. Leadership mindset and investment are what set these organizations apart. Reactive organizations treat resilience and continuity as checklist items. They might have an IT disaster recovery plan on paper that satisfies auditors, but when an outage occurs, they scramble. Their preparation rarely extends beyond compliance, and checklists are not integrated into broader continuity or resilience frameworks. Such organizations tend to respond only after incidents, often resulting in slower recovery and greater damage. On the other hand, proactive and predictive organizations integrate resilience into every aspect of their operations. They conduct regular simulations, cyber attack drills, and supply chain stress tests, addressing vulnerabilities in advance and maintaining clear playbooks. Their leadership asks not just, "Are we compliant?" but, "Are we truly prepared for the next disruption?" Whitewashed reporting is no longer enough. Leaders want to understand the organization's true position and gaps so resources can be prioritized effectively. While technology is a key enabler, organizational alignment is equally important, and cultivating a resilient culture is essential. Progressing toward maturity is a journey, not an overnight transformation. Most organizations start with reactive, siloed continuity, disaster recovery, risk, third-party risk management, and physical security all operating separately. Over time, firms can integrate these silos, foster a culture of resilience, and shift from a purely defensive posture to an offensive strategy. Resilience planning then enables faster adaptation and success in changing environments. A useful way to visualize this is through a maturity model. I encourage you to use this framework to spark conversations and foster debate within your own organizations. The goal is to make steady improvements over time and reach a point where resilience planning provides a true strategic edge. Many of us are here to support you on this journey. This leads us to our next poll question. Where would you place your organization on the resilience maturity scale? Are you reactive, responding only after disruptions? In my experience, more than 60% of organizations still consider themselves reactive. Are you foundational, with established processes that are mostly reactive? Are you proactive, with systems that anticipate and prepare for disruptions, though perhaps with room for improvement? Or, and this would be excellent, are you predictive, agile, validated by regular testing, and strategically aligned with committed leadership? Let's move on. I've developed a framework for integrated resilience as a strategy. So, how do you actually achieve this? One of the key takeaways from the majority of operational resilience regulations is the focus on identifying important business services. In Canada, OSP might call these critical operations. U.S. organizations may refer to them as functions. Ultimately, regardless of terminology, the point is that there are likely 12 to 15 things that, if disrupted, could seriously impact your organization. If you haven't had this conversation yet, your leadership is probably not aligned on what those 12 to 15 things are. They haven't elevated those priorities to the highest level, clarifying the core functions that truly matter most. Everything else is secondary. There are things you must do, things you should do, and things you won't get to. This conversation helps leadership prioritize investments across the board. Think of it as a jigsaw puzzle, connecting the pieces of how different parts of your organization work together. Every business, regardless of industry, is comprised of people, processes, sites, vendors, and technology. If you approach this holistically, you'll realize you're leveraging the same information, just viewing it through different lenses. Without that integration, you're spending excess time duplicating efforts. You have teams with similar goals that may not actually achieve those objectives because you're not working together. The information hasn't been integrated, and there isn't an executive-endorsed set of business services aligning everyone under the same umbrella. Each critical business service is supported by underlying processes, and within those processes are the foundational elements of your organization: vendors, people, sites, technology, and applications. Layering business process. Understanding across your business, perhaps through BIAs for every critical process, helps you prioritize where your resources and investments will add the most value to the business strategy. Bringing together diverse parts of the organization. This is how you put the puzzle together. An integrated framework covers the full spectrum of threats and organizational functions. It leverages standards, control frameworks, regulations, or simply best practices. If you can thoughtfully and thoroughly map your organization from the top down, using prioritization methods like MOSCOW, what must we do, should we do, could we do, and won't do, you'll provide leadership with clear visibility, enabling better prioritization and value for the organization. Legacy silos are costly and do not advance the goal of resilience. The takeaway here is that although the map will look different for every organization, aligning your program with relevant standards, frameworks, guidelines, and regulations, even if not legally required, covers your bases and simplifies communication of your risk posture internally and externally. The key is embedding resilience into enterprise risk management, treating it as a living, breathing element of strategy and operations. This allows easy integration with existing enterprise systems, enabling rapid response and effective communication in a connected environment. It also demonstrates your commitment to protecting clients, proactively sensing disruption in your third-party ecosystem, and understanding what's critical to delivering excellent customer experiences. In short, it turns intention into action. This foundation helps you track, map, and mature your data, not just for compliance obligations, but for core business objectives. Many of you in business continuity will have been asked to participate in operational resilience efforts, but it's imperative that we educate leadership about the distinction. Operational resilience requires a different skill set, additional investment, and a higher level of cross-organizational alignment. It's outcome-driven, based on service and customer continuity, and managed continuously and proactively. We're engaged with the data, testing it frequently, and integrating learnings to move toward a predictive model. It requires an ecosystem focus, embedded across the organization, to realize the benefits of a resilient strategy. This isn't to diminish the importance of business continuity and BIAs. They remain essential for internal recovery and understanding cascading impacts when things break. But operational resilience is a broader business and digital transformation effort, integrating all facets of the organization to allow agile crisis response when disruption inevitably occurs. A key lesson is that program objectives must align with the organization's values and strategic goals. This can't be done in silos. Metrics that come out of your program should tie back to objectives, so you can have meaningful executive conversations about the criticality of resilience and its impact on performance and stakeholder expectations. Efficiency is vital. Attacking the same problem from multiple angles without alignment wastes resources. You might be investing in highly available applications that don't actually put the business at risk if they go down, while overlooking dependencies on vendors or nth-party services that are critical for core operations. Understanding these dependencies allows you to prioritize effectively and drive meaningful change. That's what building a culture of resilience is all about. It's a process of incremental progress, baby steps that, over time, transform the organization's ability not just to survive, but to thrive in the face of disruption. So, with that, I'd really like to understand what you think is the biggest obstacle to building a culture of resilience within your organization. None of these will surprise me. It's probably a mix of all of them. But what stands out as the top challenge? Is it a lack of executive support or alignment? Do leaders not truly understand what operational resilience is? Or do they believe it doesn't apply to them because their part of the business isn't directly regulated? Or perhaps, is it simply a matter of siloed teams and disconnected data? I recently spoke with an organization that's very focused on aligning with OSPI, but different parts of their business around the world are also trying to solve the same problem, addressing CPS 230 in Australia, the MAS regulations in Singapore, and so on. Different teams are approaching the same objectives for operational resilience, just under the lens of different regulations. Ultimately, we could measure twice, cut once, save ourselves a lot of money, and actually accomplish both the goals of the regulation and the resilience objectives themselves. Thanks for your feedback on this. In summary, how do we tackle these challenges as a community? I recognize that you all have very demanding jobs, and this is a complex topic, but there are real benefits and sound strategies that can move us forward. I encourage you to paint this picture for your leadership, demonstrate the value of your programs and how they can be enriched to achieve broader outcomes. Try to instill confidence that resilience is not only achievable, but also a practical, doable strategy, one that, when aligned, will help your organization meet its executive goals while advancing on the journey toward true resilience. Now let's talk about metrics and KPIs. I can't stress enough that you can only improve what you can measure. It's telling to me that only 13% of companies actually incorporate resilience KPIs at all. That's an important takeaway. Consider not just how many BIAs you've completed or have in progress, but rather what the data is telling you about your exposures and vulnerabilities. Start small. Take baby steps, pilot programs, scale up, exercise your plans, and aim for early wins. A proof of concept, most importantly. Learn, iterate, and evolve. As a bit of homework, I encourage you to step back and assess your current resilience maturity. Are you reactive? Is your organization proactive? Are you working together? Are you having the necessary conversations to align taxonomies, integrate data, and identify gaps and risks to your business? It's crucial to prioritize your critical issues. Some organizations I've worked with don't have a good grasp of their most critical applications, or the order in which they'd recover from a ransomware or cyber incident. In closing, operational resilience has evolved into a true strategic imperative. Executives are telling us, and the market is telling us, that they care. Whether or not you're directly involved in these conversations, they're happening, and I encourage you to seek them out and get a seat at the table. We have a real opportunity to harness this value. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving, being agile, responding faster, and using those capabilities to propel your organization forward when the opportunity arises.